Rise and Shine with Robbo and Becci on Vision.
Well, we do not talk to this lovely person enough. Let's say a huge welcome to Sheridan Voisey.
Hey.
Good morning, well, evening or hello.
That's right. Morning your time, evening my time. Hello, Becci. Hello, Robbo. Hey, just so you know, right from the word go, my puppy, Rupert Reginald McScruffy, is actually sitting to the left of me on my desk. So if you hear a bark, if you hear a wolf, or if you just hear some very strange sounds, it's probably him kind of cleaning himself, licking himself in very, very unfortunate places. That may well make it to air. So just so you know, right from the
We're all
word go.
family
That's
here.
right.
We're all family here.
We'll know that it's Rupert, not you, that's doing the licking. So,
Oh, it is so good to chat
it's
to you.
great to chat with you, mate. And congrats! I know it's a little while ago, but happy birthday again. You've had a big milestone birthday just recently, so happy birthday again to you, Shero.
Thank you,
Yeah.
mate. Yes, I turned the big 50, and I know that I don't look a day over 49. But, you know, I'm feeling the wiser for it. You know, just
Yes.
one day just suddenly made all the difference.
Love it. Love it.
Speaking of wiser, we want to talk to you. You've made a pretty big decision recently, and I know it's something that we all struggle with this. Let's face it, about social media and stuff that keeps popping up on our phone, distracting us, notifying us about activity that's going on. And you've made a huge decision about what to do about that. Tell us what you've decided.
Yeah, go back a couple of years, and I've started to put all these other things into place. Like I turned all the notifications off from all of my apps, because of course the applications just simply want your eyeballs, they want your ears, and so they don't really care about your well-being. They just simply want your attention. I turned all of the applications off and all of the notifications off. I did the same thing for email. I even took the clock off my desktop, just so that I wasn't always reminded about how little I had gotten done in the morning.
I love it.
But I was finding that when it came to social media, even with some of the things that I was putting into place, I just was not winning the battle of not being drawn and sucked back in. And so particularly when I was tired, and we could probably come back to talk about this particular aspect if you like, but particularly when I was tired, I was finding that I was just too vulnerable to opening up an app and just scrolling, just getting mesmerized.
Yeah.
And it seemed like with every new feature that Facebook was bringing out, okay, it's not just simply keeping up with people's personal posts anymore. Now it's videos.
Yeah.
Oh, it's no longer videos. It's now reels.
Yeah.
It's no longer reels. And it's a news function. And I was just scrolling. And before I knew it, I just realized I have to do something about this.
Well, that's it. It's a huge thing, isn't it? I
So-
mean, as you say, we all struggle with this. But so what was your decision? What did you decide you were going to do?
I've taken all the apps off my phone. Now, this has been happening for the last few months, even probably the last year or so. Twitter was the first one to come off my phone because I was finding that simply wasn't just inducing in me this kind of perpetual scrolling motion, but it was also making me just so angry because, as we know, Twitter these days is, it's really the hotbed for just debate and for posturing and for reaction against reaction. And so that was the first to come off maybe a year ago. Instagram was the next one to come off because, again, I was finding myself just looking at things that I didn't need to see. Facebook always kind of was the safe territory for me. But then I found myself just doing more and more scrolling, and particularly recently when I would just find myself, it might be I'd start up, the first thing I'd do when I'd wake up in the morning, I'd reach for my phone and I'd start scrolling. And then over breakfast, I'd do a little bit more scrolling. And then I'd get into my work and maybe I'd scroll, maybe just to break the concentration of a project that I was working on. Head off to the toilet, do a bit of a scrolling, then come back, have lunch, scrolling, in the afternoon, scrolling. And sometimes when I was tired, I would be scrolling and not being able to stop. And that's finally when I realized, okay, you've got to take this one off as well, Sheridan.
Yeah.
Now, I think the interesting thing is when there was a real fear for me in taking these apps off my phone. And the fear was, oh gosh, am I going to be able to keep up with other people? Oh gosh, am I going to be able to post as immediately as I'd like to when I want to get something out? Now, let's just stop and pause for a moment there. Who said that I needed to post immediately anyway?
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
That is the whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
When the machine starts dictating to us how we are supposed to live, that's when you need to take control of the machine. And that's really when I realized, okay, even that's got to come off. So now my very basic smartphone is completely free of apps, and I just use those social media channels, which I do still love, do still use, but I use it on my work computer because I've got a little bit more control over that.
Yeah, that's
I do love that. And it's a bit freeing, isn't it? Because, as you say, things aren't popping up in front of you. And so you talked about when you're tired. Well, now when we're tired, hopefully we're switching off and letting our body sort of, have some rest instead of, that, what do they talk about? That constant blue light coming in. Because I know I'm like you, when I'm tired, I've scrolled for 45 minutes before I've even realised. And I'm like, I went to bed early for a reason, but I haven't gone to sleep.
Yeah, and did that scrolling actually relax you?
No. Usually you get fired up about something or you miss something.
Exactly. Or even at its best, it just fills your mind full of ideas and full of things to think about, perhaps worry about, perhaps problems that you need to kind of feel like you need to solve or at least start thinking about. None of that really helps. So I was doing exactly the same thing, Becky. And just to be able to take that out, I've found that my soul is a lot less noisier as a result of not doing all that scrolling. Because let's just think about it. When you sit down to read a book, what happens? Well, you immerse in something, don't you? And you spend a bit of time in it. And you spend a bit of time in the one thing. You might spend 45 minutes, say, reading a chapter. What do you do when you spend 45 minutes time scrolling? Well, actually, you would have put maybe hundreds, if not thousands of ideas into that, even if it's just a quick image here from a friend or a quick idea or a quick quote. Our brain hasn't had a chance to process all of that. So that just goes into the subconscious. It buzzes away. It hasn't had time to kind of find its place inside our psyche. And so it's just doing all of this buzzing in the background. That's not good for our spiritual health, our emotional health, our well-being, or anything like that.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really good point, isn't it? I've never thought about that, just the idea of just focusing on one thing, like if you, as you say, reading a book, you can kind of, and even if it's a novel, like, your mind might be creating wonderful pictures and that theatre of the mind that's going on, but it's all, focused in one direction as opposed to just the distraction of lots of different thoughts and, it's just, getting you, stirred up, stimulated, and it's certainly not allowing you to rest.
Yeah, and there's another kind of psychological factor that I've found along the way researching this over the last few years. IVR, intermittent variable reward, and this is the kind of the psychological response of what happens when you pull the lever on a pokie machine. When you're actually involved in gambling, it's this kind of little trigger that says, if I pull that lever, who knows what might happen? I might actually get the jackpot.
Yeah, right.
Well, the same thing they've actually said is happening when we scroll.
Wow.
If I scroll one more time, I might get another hit. This might be the thing that gives me the little jolt that I need, the little kind of thrill that I need, the dopamine hit that I need. And that's not actually working for us. Take all of that away. And for me, discipline in the end wasn't enough. I actually had to remove the causes of the temptation.
That's awesome.
Take that away. And then you find that, you've got a lot more freedom, a lot more head space, soul space, heart space, for all the things that actually God wants for us, and then the kind of rest of soul.
Yeah.
So you can then focus on the things that you need to do.
Wonderful.
I love it.
That is so good.
So good.
Well, good on you, mate, for taking those bold steps, because that can be pretty, challenging to do it. And as you say, that whole, fear of missing out that we, really do battle with, like, what am I going to miss? Or, you might have put something really inspiring yourself out and you think, oh, well, I want to be able to interact with the people and, make sure that I'm responding quickly. But at the end of the day, is that really necessary? So good on you for taking those steps and encouraging us. And, look, I think you're making some really good points. So it's something that we can all take on board and think about how we might respond today as well. So appreciate your input on that one, Sheridan. Really do value your thought. And, we'll try to catch up with you on Facebook, but maybe not
on the desktop
as immediate.
I was right. We can catch up, but it might be about a week from now.
That's right, exactly.
But I think that's sort of a good thing. Do you know what I mean? Because people have time to sort of take in responses too, not just instantly blurt out the first thing that might be at the tip of their fingers. They haven't thought about what they're going to sorry.
I
you were
agree.
wrapping up, but thought about what they were going to reply as to, oh, it's at the tip of my fingers. That's the first thing. And then we're like, did I really need to do that? Did I pause and think about what was coming out? Was it kind? Was it good? maybe did I involve God in this? Do you know what I mean? We're just instant.
Yeah. Brilliant. I love it.
If we take a step back and reflect, indeed, it's going to be better for not just us, but like you said, the other people who are reading what we say.
Yeah,
so true.
Sure. Anyway.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, and give a big hug and pat to Rupert so that he doesn't feel missed out either.
I'm surprised. I'm really sad he didn't make an appearance.
Here he is.
Look at him.
Is he not gorgeous?
He is the
gorgeous.
best. He's like, come on, Dad, you're embarrassing me.
That's right. It's exactly right.
That face was like, oh, I'm right. I love it.
You're doing this again to me.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.